Hey, welcome back to the channel that never backs away from stories that truly shake the entertainment world to its core. You know the kind of stories I'm talking about, those ones that make you freeze mid-scroll, eyes wide, mouth open, and whisper to yourself, "Wait, what?" Well, buckle up, because today, we're diving into one of the most heartbreaking and controversial events to hit the industry in recent memory. And this isn't about drama promotions, glamorous award shows, or carefully staged photo shoots. This is about something much, much heavier. Something that has left millions of hearts shattered and countless questions screaming unanswered. Because this time, it's about the sudden, shocking death of, in the tidal wave of grief, anger, and calls for justice that erupted the moment the news broke. When that news first hit social media, it felt like time itself stopped. No one could believe it. One second the world was normal, and the next, it wasn't. Fans were refreshing their feeds like crazy, hoping it was just a hoax or some kind of misunderstanding. The timelines were instantly flooded with broken hearts, crying emojis, disbelief, and the same haunting question repeated again and again: is this real? For so many people, Yu Menglong wasn't just another actor or singer. He was that gentle soul who always seemed to radiate warmth. He had this soft, almost shy smile that could melt even the toughest hearts. He wasn't the kind of celebrity who rose to fame overnight in a flash of controversy. He worked his way up slowly, steadily, and genuinely. That's exactly why his sudden death didn't make sense. Honestly, it still doesn't. Because the thing is, the details of what happened were vague. Way too vague. No clear cause, no timeline, no official explanation that could bring even a sliver of closure. Just silence and rumors. And you know what? Silence can be louder than any statement. And in this case, it screamed. The initial statement from his agency was so short it felt almost cold. Just a couple of lines expressing sorrow and asking for privacy. No cause of death, no words about who he was as a person, no heartfelt tribute that reflected how much he meant to fans. Nothing. And that's when the internet exploded. Fans, media outlets, even other celebrities started asking the same question: why so secretive? Why hide the truth from the very people who loved him the most? Why the silence? And once that question entered the conversation, it spread like wildfire. Suddenly, every photo he had ever posted, every cryptic caption, every slightly off moment in interviews got pulled apart and analyzed under a microscope. People started connecting dots, or at least trying to. Some pointed out how he had seemed distant lately, others mentioned that he'd been working non-stop on back-to-back projects without ever taking a real break. A few even claimed he had been dealing with behind-the-scenes conflicts with his management. None of these things were confirmed, of course, but that didn't stop the speculation. If anything, it only grew louder and louder. And then came the outrage. Within hours, hashtags demanding justice started trending worldwide. Hashtag justice for Yu Menglong. Hashtag we need answers. Hashtag protect our artists. Fans organized online vigils, flooded comment sections with messages of grief and anger, and even held small in-person memorials outside his agency building. Some carried flowers, others held signs that read, "Tell us the truth." It wasn't just sadness anymore. It was fury. They felt betrayed. Betrayed by an industry that, in their eyes, used up their favorite star until he had nothing left to give, and then gave nothing back when he was gone. They weren't just asking for answers. They were demanding them. They wanted accountability. They wanted to know if someone, somewhere, could have prevented this. They wanted to know if the system itself had pushed him past his breaking point. And as the storm grew louder, so did the controversies. Old interviews suddenly resurfaced where Yu Menglong had hinted that he felt exhausted or trapped. Behind-the-scenes clips showed him pushing through intense rehearsals with visible fatigue written all over his face. There were whispers about toxic contracts, pressure to maintain a certain public image, and even alleged disputes over money and creative control. Again, none of these claims were officially verified, but the fact that so many people believed them said a lot. Some industry insiders even anonymously claimed that he had been isolated, with little personal freedom and overwhelming work expectations. Others argued this was just part of the industry's high standards, not something unique to him. But either way, it painted a chilling picture. Fans started wondering if the entertainment machine had chewed him up and spat him out, just like it has done to so many others before. At first, Many of his fellow actors stayed silent, which only made fans more suspicious. But slowly, a few voices began to break the silence. A close friend posted a black screen with just 3 words, "I'm so sorry." Another co-star shared a candid photo of them laughing together on set, with the caption, "You deserved more." One particularly emotional post came from a director he had worked with, who wrote that the industry had failed to protect one of its kindest souls. That post went viral instantly, and suddenly, the narrative began to shift from "this is tragic" to "this might have been preventable." People began calling for serious reforms in how young actors are treated, especially regarding workload, mental health support, and personal freedom. The tragedy cracked open a conversation that had been buried for far too long. Out of this heartbreak came something important: a conversation about how brutal the entertainment industry can be. The constant spotlight, the pressure to be perfect, the lack of privacy, the fear of losing relevance overnight. Fans opened up about their own mental health struggles, saying they saw themselves in Yu Menglong, the quiet smile hiding 1,000 unspoken battles. Mental health experts were invited onto talk shows to discuss how fame affects young artists. Agencies were publicly called out for not providing enough psychological support to their talents. And while this was a step forward, many fans still felt it was too little, too late. Because for them, it wouldn't bring him back. It wouldn't erase the pain of losing someone who meant so much to them. As grief turned into obsession, the internet went wild with theories. Some believed it was burnout, years of non-stop work finally taking its toll. Others whispered about foul play, claiming his death was too sudden, too suspicious, and that someone might be covering something up. A few even brought up conspiracy-level claims involving secret contracts, hidden debts, and relationships he was allegedly forced to keep hidden. Most of these theories had no solid evidence, but they spread fast because they filled the painful void left by silence. And silence, once again, was the loudest thing of all. Meanwhile, his agency came under fire like never before. Fans accused them of prioritizing profit over their artists' well-being, of staying quiet when the world was demanding answers, and even of trying to bury the truth. Some called for boycotts of the agency's other artists. The company eventually released a longer statement, saying they were deeply saddened and that they were cooperating with relevant parties. But by then, the damage was done. The trust was shattered. What made all of this even harder was how sudden it felt. Just days before, Yu Menglong had been posting cheerful selfies, sharing behind-the-scenes clips, and smiling at fans during a livestream. And then, nothing. Gone. For fans, it felt like emotional whiplash, like one moment the sun was shining, and the next, it had vanished forever. Some admitted they kept refreshing his social media, half expecting him to suddenly post something new and prove it was all just a nightmare. Others said they couldn't bring themselves to listen to his songs or watch his dramas anymore because it hurt too much. And yet, many also said they wanted to keep his memory alive, to keep watching, keep sharing, keep talking about him, because forgetting felt like losing him all over again. Even in the middle of this chaos, one thing is clear: Yu Menglong's impact won't fade easily. He brought softness into an industry that often rewards hardness. He showed vulnerability in a world that expects constant strength. His performances made people cry, smile, fall in love, and dream. And maybe that's why losing him feels so personal. Because for many fans, he wasn't just a celebrity on a screen. He was the friend who always made them feel better after a long day, the voice that calmed their anxiety, the smile that reminded them they weren't alone. That's why fans aren't just asking for answers now, they're demanding change. They want investigations into how he was treated. They want better working conditions and mental health support for young artists. They want the industry to stop treating humans like disposable products. They want justice not just for Yu Menglong, but for everyone like him who might be suffering silently right now. And they're not backing down, because they believe that speaking out might save the next star from the same fate. Here's the truth: Yu Menglong may be gone, but his presence hasn't faded. His photos are still pinned on fan walls. His words are still quoted on social media. His smile still lights up the screens in reruns of his dramas. And in every tear, every hashtag, every candle lit in his name, his heart is still beating in millions of others. That's something no tragedy can ever take away. And as this storm continues, One thing remains clear: this isn't just about a celebrity's death anymore. It's about a wake-up call. About demanding humanity in an industry that often forgets what that even means. And maybe, just maybe, it's about making sure Yu Menglong's story becomes more than just a headline. Maybe it becomes the reason things finally change. So rest in peace, Yu Menglong. You will be missed but never forgotten. And to everyone watching this, hug your loved ones a little tighter tonight. Remember that behind every smile you see on screen, there's a real person, fighting battles you may never know. Stay kind, stay curious, and as always, stay tuned because we'll keep bringing you the stories that matter.